Complain.
In Northeast, Philip Stewart for News Channel 8.
They're the future stars of the National Zoo, and a local program is trying to save their kind from extinction. We're back in 2 minutes. I'm Morris Jones, and coming up on News Channel 8, families have lost one loved one after another to cancer. Tonight, new insight into the chemicals at Fort Detrick. And a sex scandal rocks the world's top financial organization. Now people around the world are talking about Dominique Strauss-Kahn. Plus, looking around for the last time, Louisiana families leave their homes before the floodwaters take over.
And we've been keeping a close eye on live Super Doppler, tracking some of those slow-moving thunderstorms, one of which is just now passing to the south of D.C., but we already had one heavy downpour that ran directly over the district. That's it there. That's how far it's moved in about 2 hours now in western Frederick County, but Fairfax to Dale City getting wet, and another hefty downpour near Fredericksburg. It looks like that's going to be the trend over the next couple of days and straight into the overnight period as well. Hit or miss thunder showers that will be slow-moving, and temperatures slowly backing off, 59 to 65 degrees tonight. I'll let you know when we can take that chance of rain out of the forecast coming up. The news starts right now.
You're watching News Channel 8 with Morris Jones.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. In the last hour, we learned that Jack Johnson is expected to plead guilty in his corruption case. The former Prince George's County executive originally pleaded not guilty. But he's due in court again tomorrow, and this time he's expected to enter a guilty plea to at least one charge. It's part of a plea agreement hearing. Johnson was indicted on bribery and extortion charges, accused of accepting bribes while in office. There's a new review underway of the chemicals used decades ago at Fort Detrick. Families who have lost loved ones say there's a cancer cluster. Finally, the National Research Foundation is following the Maryland Health Department's lead by investigating Agent Orange.
For residents in the Fort Detrick area, it's been a frustrating search for answers. Fort Detrick officials rarely speak in public and repeatedly turn down requests for information. But today, the garrison's top commander told this to the National Academy of Sciences.
Our concern is to continue to communicate openly with the Frederick community. We are here because we care.
But testimony today from Fort Detrick officials often directly contradicted firsthand accounts from witnesses and minimized the testing.
All the work that was done out of doors was done in these little tents.
When one cancer victim in the audience tried to ask about warnings from Dow Chemical to Detrick in the 60s, she was cut off.
Didn't the Dow take questions from the
The question came from Jennifer Pepe Hahn, who grew up near Detrick and has battled both Hodgkin's and breast cancer starting when she was 13.
Seems to be an inordinate amount of younger people developing cancer in the area. There was another young man who would have graduated in my class who had leukemia the same time I had Hodgkin's, and he died.
Advocates insist they aren't trying to kill the livelihood many depend on in this community.
We're not trying to kill Fort Detrick. We're trying to prevent future contamination that would kill human beings. So there's no amount of money that I could put on a human life. And that's what I would say. Livelihood is not worth death.
They say they just want the truth.
How confident are you that your officials that are making these statements are telling the truth and are giving these statements with accuracy? How confident are you?
I'm extremely confident because we can provide the official documentation that backs up everything that they said.
But Fort Detrick has ignored multiple FOIA requests and told a lawyer recently that they would need almost $30,000 up front for Fort Detrick to even begin processing the request for documents. Rebecca Cooper, News Channel 8.
Now a developing story in the South. Louisiana residents are looking around at their towns for what may be the last time. Already Butte La Rose is a ghost town. The few residents left are making their way out before water from the open Mississippi River floodgates covers their homes. 2 more spillway gates were opened today on top of the 9 opened over the weekend. The question isn't just how high the water will rise, but also how long it will linger. The Army Corps of Engineers plans to keep the spillway open for several weeks.
I just have to believe that God has his hands on us and we're going to be okay.
President Obama was in Memphis today, where some of those flood victims shared their stories. The river crested in Memphis just last week, inches short of the record flood levels set in 1937. Some neighborhoods were covered, but the levees protected much of the city. The chief of the International Monetary Fund remains behind bars tonight. He's accused of attacking a maid at a New York City hotel. The allegations have sparked a lot of talk around the world.
Looking very tired, powerful world financial leader, head of the International Monetary Fund in Washington, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, known in international circles by his three initials DSK, is now charged with 6 counts, including sexual assault.
The defendant restrained a hotel employee inside of his room. He sexually assaulted her and attempted to forcibly rape her.
A judge denied Strauss-Kahn's bail, keeping him in jail until at least May 20th. Police say his accuser picked him out of a lineup last night. Investigators looking for forensic evidence say he voluntarily had his body examined. His defense team said in court he has an alibi, claiming he was at lunch at the time of the alleged attack.
This battle has just begun. We believe and will prove in our judgment that Mr. Strauss-Kahn is innocent of these charges.
Saturday afternoon at this posh Midtown Manhattan hotel, a housekeeper entered room 2806, a $3,000 a night suite, the IMF says paid for by Strauss-Kahn. Police say Strauss-Kahn came out of a bathroom naked. Then they say he chased the 32-year-old maid down a hall and forced her to perform a sex act. Detectives snatched Strauss-Kahn out of his first-class seat at JFK Airport just minutes before his Paris-bound flight took off.
I think that's crazy. That's all I can say.
I don't believe it until I see all the evidence.
Natasha Barrett, News Channel 8.
D.C. tourists were treated to a very strange sight today. An advocacy group milked a cow at Upper Senate Park. They passed out glasses of raw milk to protest the case against an Amish farmer in Pennsylvania. He's in trouble with the FDA for sending unpasteurized milk across the state border. The FDA says raw milk can carry dangerous bacteria like Salmonella or E. coli. The main runway at Reagan National Airport is getting a makeover starting tonight. The airport's authority is scheduling work so the fewest amount of flights are disrupted. The entire runway will be milled and resurfaced for the first time in more than 20 years. Several other changes are being made to improve safety. 500,000 people watched the launch of Shuttle Endeavour from the ground, but a lucky group of people saw it from the air. A passenger on a JetBlue flight recorded the shuttle as it broke through the clouds and went up into space and out of sight. This is Endeavour's final flight and the next to last of all shuttle flights as NASA ends the program. The 6 men on board will spend 16 days in space, working on the International Space Station and looking into the origins of the universe. But there's an emotional story on board as well.
As the final seconds ticked down, some warm words from Commander Mark Kelly.
To all of the millions watching today, including our spouses, children, family, and friends, we thank you for your support.
Family is a pivotal part of this flight, with Commander Kelly's wife, Representative Gabrielle Giffords, among the 500,000 watching history.
And liftoff for the final.
You know, I can't say there were a lot of words, but she did at the end say to me, I was sort of standing to her left, and she looked up at me and she said, "Good stuff, good stuff."
Shielded from cameras, Gifford sat in a wheelchair and watched her husband head for the stars with her wedding ring.
Mark had brought her wedding ring to space for the last 2 launches, and this time she wanted his back, his in return for hers.
And a secret note.
She sent him with a note, which they hid on the shuttle.
And after the shuttle was safely in space, a special delivery. These flowers and cards to Giffords and his children. For some staffers, it was the first time they'd seen her since the shooting.
To actually see her and talk with her, it was a very moving experience.
It was a day full of emotion, a shuttle reaching for the heavens one final time.
This is both a sad and proud moment for your launch team and for America, but your legacy will live on.
And for so many reasons.
Some more notes now about this historic flight. This is the last series of spacewalks that will ever be conducted by a shuttle crew. The Atlantis is the final mission. That's supposed to take off in July. And then the future is a bit uncertain. For the first time in almost 60 years, the United States will have to rely on other countries and private companies for any sort of space travel. Scott Thuman, News Channel 8.
There is no chance Donald Trump will become president in 2012. The real estate mogul says he won't enter the race and will focus on his reality show instead. In a press release, Trump said, quote, "After considerable deliberation and reflection, I have decided not to pursue the office of the presidency." But he said if he did run, he felt confident he would have won both the primary and the presidency. Still ahead, the family of a drunk driving victim pleads for the maximum punishment. But the driver claims she's not the monster everyone thinks she is. And a shocker in the New York serial killer investigation. Police look inside their own ranks for a possible suspect.
3, 2, 0, expanding our plans in space.
Think back on what you've been doing for the past 25 minutes. In the future, that's how long it could take your Metro train to arrive. Metro riders may have to choose between longer wait times or higher fares.
I would prefer if they be on time all the time.
Time is money, and for Metro, it's a lot of money. To cut costs, Metro's proposing the rail system could save $6 million a year if you'll wait longer for trains on weekends.
I'm Morris Jones, and coming up on News Channel 8, a surprising update in the Pentagon security scare. The suspect has been linked to a series of crimes that had military workers on edge for weeks. Then, a dark day in Metro's past.
Now she's in a better place. I also hope she's listening. I love you, Mom.
In 2 years since the deadly crash on the Red Line, today an emotional tribute to 9 loved ones lost.
Hi there, meteorologist Devin Lucy here from the Mr. Basement Weather Center. First look at the forecast. Pattern continues that we haven't seen really any end to since last week. 70s overnight, very warm to start off Thursday morning. More chances of afternoon storms and temperatures trying to keep upwards to hot and humid conditions. Talk about exactly when these chances of storms will end. Some relief in sight too in our complete forecast. But first, the news starts right now.
You're watching News Channel 8 with Morris Jones.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We have team coverage on the anniversary of the deadly Metro crash in just a moment. But we start tonight with a shocking twist in last Friday's Pentagon security scare. Suspect Jonathan Malaku has now been linked to the shootings at local military facilities last fall. Gail Pennybacher is in Prince William County with the latest on the developing story.
Remember that 3 of the 5 shootings of military buildings that took place last fall happened here in Prince William County, and detectives in Prince William County have been working with authorities in Fairfax County and also federal government law enforcement agencies. It's believed now through ABC News that there is ballistic work that may match at least one of those military building shootings with evidence that they recovered at Jonathan Malaku's home in the Franconia section of Fairfax County. You'll remember that those shootings started October 17th of last year, first at the Marine Corps Museum, then at the United States Pentagon, then at a recruitment center for the Marine Corps in Chantilly, and back again at the Marine Corps Museum. Then the final shooting happened here in Woodbridge at the Coast Guard recruiting station. It's believed that Malaku could be related to that. Back then, criminal profiles had said they believed that somebody who was unhappy with the United States Marine Corps could be connected to these shootings, and Malaku had been a Marine reservist. Reporting from Woodbridge, Virginia, Gail Pennybacher for News Channel 8.
On to our other top story. Today marked exactly 2 years since the Metro train crash that killed 9 people in Northeast D.C. The transit system honored the victims this morning with a wreath-laying ceremony near the site of the crash. While families and friends paid tribute to their loved ones, many also shared their anger at Metro and D.C. officials.
Ana Fernandez.
It was a deeply emotional ceremony, punctuated by the tolling of a bell for the 9 people who died in the Metro crash. Each of the victims' family members in attendance, white rose in hand, then followed a color guard to lay a wreath in front of a memorial plaque inside the Fort Totten Metro station. There were tears and hugs. The 2 little boys who found their mother's name on the list of the lost.
Every day we talk about Nikki.